Typically between Labor Day and the end of the year, it is the most popular time for people to buy new cars. I think this is super interesting.
Yeah.
Will 2020 be the same? I mean, this is a very different year. When we talk about finances, 2020, the pandemic, everything's a little different. So if you're smart, you get prepared.
Yeah. And the man that could prepare you is right here, Nev Harris. He is a financial contributor and founder of nevharris.com. He's joining us now from a lovely place somewhere in Pittsburgh. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic.
It's great to have you, man. It's beautiful out there. Wow, I remember what green used to look like.
Oh.
Man, oh man, I need a tree in my backyard. Let's talk about this. I mean, obviously, everyone's finances, everyone's feeling a lot of weight on their shoulders right now. If they have a job right now, thank goodness, but they're afraid what could happen tomorrow. If they don't have a job, they lost it during this whole mess. What the heck am I going to do? Let's talk first of all about payroll taxes. I know that there's a payroll tax holiday that's taking place, but it's not really a holiday. What's taking place here, and how's it going to affect the average person?
All right, so here's the deal with payroll tax. Without getting into the little boring numbers, there's a line on your paycheck called FICA, okay, and that is your payroll tax and Medicare. And what happens is, like, that's your portion of the payroll tax, and then the government right now is saying, hey, you don't have to pay that. But here's the thing: you're going to have to pay that in 4 months probably. They're only going to delay that for 4 months. So if Trump says if he gets reelected, he wants to suspend that, but he doesn't have the power to do that. Congress has to do that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, they will. But a lot of companies aren't even doing it right now because of the complications from it, and they don't want to stick their employees or take the risk of the employees leaving in a couple months.
They know that the chances are that they're not going to remember that they have to pay that, and then in 4 months' time, when they do their taxes, they're going to get hit with a big old bill, and they're not going to be able to pay it.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and that's the concern.
Gosh.
And the expense of the companies having to set that up because their systems aren't made for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's right. Gosh, I didn't even know that was going on. Can we talk about debt for a moment? Right now, hopefully people, many people are accruing more debt right now, which is too bad. How can we do our best to pay that debt off? You do have some tips for us.
Yes. Here's a couple tips. One, let's go through our expenses. Okay, let's look at everything we're spending a month, and what you're going to find is I call it bloat. There's going to be stuff in there that maybe you have a subscription to Audible, or maybe you have a magazine subscription, or something like that, and you kept on telling yourself, as soon as I have time, I'm going to get to those books. I'm going to start listening to those books. But look, we had the quarantine. You're working from home now. If you haven't gotten to it, you're never going to get to it. Cancel that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and you could generate $100, $200 a month easily, that way by just cutting out the dead weight.
That's true. Once you start looking at your line items, you're like, wait a second, I've been spending this on this for how long? Oh God, you get rid of that. Yeah, that adds up really fast. All right, I'm in a host right now. I just refied this sucker. Hi, nice to see you. Is it now a good time to refi, or did I make a terrible mistake?
So now is an absolutely excellent time to refi. It's the best time in history almost, if you have good credit and can qualify, because banks have kind of contracted the programs they're offering. So, the easy money isn't there how it was. So if you can refinance, definitely jump on that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I am inside this house and we just refinanced too. So
refinance buddies.
Sean,
high five.
Congrats, we've done it. I know. Can we move back to debt? I'm just thinking about how tough it is for folks. There are so many folks who have been furloughed or are out of work right now in Las Vegas, and really one of your only options is to go into debt. You had some other thoughts, not only looking at those line items and figuring out things you don't need, but ways to actually pay off the debt as well.
Yeah, sure. So if we want to pay off that debt, we're going to take that money from those line items, and then we're going to start paying off the debt. What we want to do is we want to look at, there's two ways to do it. You could look at your high interest rates and pay them off quicker because you're going to save some money, or you could look at, your smaller ones and get some momentum, get some small wins underneath your belt to keep you going to paying off your debt. So those are two strategies that you could implement for paying off debt.
I think mentally if you go for the smaller bills, you will have felt like success having defeated something. But if you go for the larger interest stuff, you will save yourself more money in the long run, but you don't necessarily get that win early. So yeah, I understand. It's all kind of a psychological game. Really quickly, we get about, I don't know, 45 seconds left. Let's talk about emergency funds and budgets. I think one goes into the other. You should be saving money for yourself to kind of put away for a, oh boy, something terrible just happened fund, while also being able to get your spending in check. Tell us about the emergency fund, how much we should have in it, and how we set up a great budget.
So, okay. So for an emergency fund, we want 3 to 6 months of expenses so that we could have that room that if everything falls apart on us, we're not really stressed out because we have 3 to 6 months in the bank that we know we're not going to lose our house next month. And so that's a great thing. And then after we get our debt paid off, we want to start this emergency fund because the debt's costing us money. The emergency fund is there just in case.
Yeah.
So, and then for a budget, like real simple, I believe a budget should give you freedom to do what you want to do and not be restrictive, because that's why people reject budgets, because they feel they're so restrictive. What you got to do is you got to create some goals, some stuff you want in your life, some stuff you want to buy, and then budget your money. And then know that if you want to go out to dinner and spend $200, great, go wild, but you're going to move yourself further away from what you really want. Yeah. So that's a great way to think about budgeting, because you're planning out the stuff that you want to get and you're putting a plan in place to get the stuff you want instead of restrict you from buying the stuff you want.
Budgeting's a lot like dieting. It's like, if it's too restrictive, I don't want to be a part of it. Exactly. I get where you're going with. If we want to get more information about what you do, you go to nevharris.com, correct?
Yes, sir.
Good man. Great to talk to you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And listen, if you want to get some tips and hopefully right your financial ship, get on the right road, you go to nevharris.com. Nev Harris, by the way, a proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.